not gonna lie to you, in this moment, I am feeling particularly anxious. And that's because I thought it'd be fun to make a video called Maddie Hapoya Roasts My Career. So I'm traveling with Maddie right now. I've been reflecting a lot on this YouTube channel, what I'd like to be doing more of in 2024. I have my own thoughts, but I thought it'd be interesting to get a third-party perspective to see what somebody who's done this very successfully thinks that I could be doing either differently or more of, or even just his thoughts on where things are going in 2024, even though he is taking a break. I'll link that video below. And I think I'm worried that he's gonna just call out things that I already know to be true about myself that maybe I'm not super proud of. Who knows? But in today's video, I hope that you will take some lessons for your own career moving forward. So let's go find Maddie, let's go find his manager Tyler and see what they think. I feel like the best stuff that you get on trips is when you're just driving and you pull over to the side rather than like the main attractions. So here we are. There he is. Oh, I'm kind of nervous of what he's gonna say.
Are you breaking up with me or?
Maddie, we need to talk. So Maddie's been doing this for a lot longer than I have. Like, what, you're 2 years before I started? And
when did you start?
I think I started basically September of 2018.
Yeah, I started 2017.
But that's essentially to say is that, you know, you've been in it and you've been doing it for a long time. So I very much value your opinion. I'm curious, what do you think that I've done well in my career over the last 4 years? And then at the end of that, what do you think maybe could have been improved upon? Or if you want to just be brutally honest, you know, what did I do wrong? And like, just call it out. I think it's good.
I feel like you've done a lot of things right. The fact that you've grown a big audience and business and everything. Like, I don't know how, well, I mean, we're in Japan, just like hanging out. I struggle to say like specific advice for you, not like you, Chris, how, but like for anybody specifically. But I think in general, creators have a hard time finding their own thing, and then you kind of take from a bunch of other people, and instead of doing the thing that you really want to do and sticking to it, you kind of just take whatever somebody else is doing, and whatever that worked for that person, I'm going to do that. That worked for that person, I'm going to do that. So that's the hardest part. And I think maybe that's been your weakness over time, is that you haven't fully gone out of like the dope squad and whatever, as just like in a way taking charge that you would have the chance to go even further than me and Peter. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way or anything like that. For me, for example, recently doing the interviews with pro DPs, I find that absolutely fascinating, and I could talk all day with Larry and ask questions and all that. And that's something that few people would have access to right now. I'm leaning into my strengths, and so I think in your next phase too, like lean into your strengths and don't worry about what the other people's strengths are.
I 100% agree with it. And I think what I am happy about, at least in this stage of my career, is that like what you're saying is something that I had to like admit to myself, which was really difficult, is that, you know, I think definitely at the beginning when you're learning, you copy styles that you think, you know, will do well. But I think it really is rooted in some level of insecurity, for me at least, where, you know, if you're not successful, you're less than, or you're not of value, or you don't really have anything to say.
Or that you're doing it wrong somehow. But you're actually probably not. One of the things I've been thinking about a lot is like when new artist comes along, whether it's music or filmmaking or whatever, they're doing interesting things. And my theory is actually they're doing interesting things because they're essentially doing things wrong. That's not how you're supposed to do it. But it ends up being the cool new thing because it's so fresh and like new and like, what is this thing?
Funny enough, I have a really great story about this. Is like when I first started music, I was just recording in my basement, and literally I couldn't afford a microphone. So I recorded songs on those like little like iPhone microphones, like literally the clip-on ones. I would like attach it to my guitar.
And then it has a different sound.
And then it had a different sound to it. And everyone's like, how did you get this crazy sound? It's like, I used a $3 microphone because that's all I could afford, and you use what's available to you. I think back to those times when I was just genuinely like, I cared more about the creativity and I cared more about just making the thing than worrying about the final results, I want to be liked, I need to have views, I don't want my sponsors to go away. And truly, it's so easy to want to do what everybody else is doing because you just want to like fit in. You want to make sure that you're like part of the tribe and that you have success and that you're just feeling, you know, as deep as this sounds, it's like you just want love. You just want to be accepted at the end of the day. And I can truly admit at this point in my career is that that's what motivated a lot of things in terms of the videos that I wanted to make. I kind of feel like I am truly myself now, and I just want to try to embrace that voice rather than just being like, follow the views so that everyone goes, oh, cool, he's successful. Where it's like, what? I don't need that. I just want to get back to creating. So, truthfully, thank you for also calling out what I've already felt, because it just reminds me to stick to my own true voice too.
I'm interested in seeing what you do next.
Yeah, well, thanks, man. I likewise, and I feel closer to just trusting my gut more often rather than questioning it. Feels good to talk about it, even though it's a little bit like, yeah, you were kind of doing what everyone else was doing.
Hey, are we still talking?
Okay, so I mentioned that we're also here with somebody else. We're with Tyler, who is Maddie's. This is the manager extraordinaire. Let's just go right into it. I'm curious from your perspective as a manager and someone who runs the business of a YouTube channel. Like, what are your thoughts on what I'm doing? Good, bad, all of it.
Just dog, no. There's a feedback mechanism that I like called plus CBIs. Say something positive and then even better if.
Yeah.
So the even better if on Chris Howe's channel, I think what I'm seeing in a more macro like trend is if the filmmaker photographer community on YouTube, if you look at it like a university, I think we've covered the 101 basics of filmmaking and photography on YouTube over the last number of years. And now I think what we're doing is getting into the specifics like stylings of different people. And I think that's going to be really unique. So I'm curious and excited to see what the Chris Howe uniqueness is in the filmmaking photography space. And I think that that's going to be almost like a Chris Howe class on YouTube of like, yeah, what makes Chris Howe unique and what's his point of view. I'm more curious of like, what makes you tick? Like, what gets you stoked? What are you excited about for next year, and how can you leverage that, lean into that?
Yeah, I think right now, if I had to pick a couple of general themes, is, you know, travel's always been a bit of like a base on this channel, but I think I'm going to be traveling even more so in the next year, and that starts with even having that like camper van that I purchased. Right. And I think there's going to be a lot more of that like solo exploration. I think another side to this that isn't just always in the technical aspects, but I think what people really do crave, not only in like their career advice, but just in like personal development when it comes to how do I build this career, me as a creative as a whole. I think because I've been focusing so much on self-development, I want to share a lot of like what I've experienced and teach that aspect
Chris
to it.
Chris has been dropping like these quote bombs all trip. I've heard this quote recently and I was like, that's a really good quote. As a manager, one of the things that I get joy out of is working with creators and seeing the thing that they're shy about, or like, I see it this way and I'm kind of scared to like share that with people. And then when they do and it works, I think that's what's like exciting for me.
I think you touched on a lot of great points there, and I think maybe even for anybody that's watching, it's like you have something that you're excited about, and so rather than going and doing all the things that you think people are interested in, just you be excited about it and people are going to gravitate towards you. So that's just some food for thought there, that I'm just trying to enjoy this process, and I want to share more of what I like with you. By the way, where you were talking, it was like the most epic scene with like lights coming around Mount Fuji. Now we have some swans coming out. I think let's just enjoy this moment.
Yeah, I think you need to get shooting.
Yeah. Like, what is this moment right now?
This line, this slash is crazy.